everyone. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim. With me is my co-host, Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
What a movie.
What
This was.
a movie. It is something.
I know I usually come up with a fun quote or anything like whatever for these things, but whew, this was... It's so close to being really good.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something off about it throughout the whole thing.
There is.
The Vagrant.
Yes, The Vagrant.
Bill Paxton, rest in peace, sir. I miss you so goddamn much.
Yeah.
What an actor.
I agree. And I'll save more of that for when we talk about Hero, but I agree. He's exceptional. There is a lot of things in here that I really like. It's just not all of the pieces quite fit together perfectly.
It never gels.
Yeah. And and I guess that's the nagging, irritating thing about the movie while you're watching. It's like, you're so close to something here.
Yeah, really.
Like it just needed another draft or another go through or something just to kind of fine tune this and make it really gel and work. And it's just not there quite.
No.
Yeah.
Another director, maybe. I don't know. This guy was actually not a bad director. I
didn't check out his DB.
I will go over it with you later on
Okay.
at the end of the show.
Okay.
But competent and guy, and also a fucking hero of cinema. To be honest with you,
Was this early in his career? Maybe.
he only directed 2 movies, and this was the last one. But he did other stuff that are very important to movie history, and I'll go into it later.
Okay, fair enough.
But Tim, this was your pick.
Yes, it was. So
Explain to the people what you've done.
So The Vagrant deals with this mid-level temp guy trying to get a full-time job, and
He's got a full-time job. He just wants the big promotion. He's a yuppie.
Because I always thought he was almost a temp, but anyway.
No. He wants a full analyst or whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, he is stretching himself thin to buy this house, which doesn't look like it is a great neighborhood. But regardless, there is a vagrant, as he likes to call them, or a homeless person that is hanging around and seems to like to come into his home. And he goes to drastic measures to get rid of this vagrant from his life. And hilarity and horror ensues.
Some horror, mostly hilarity.
For sure.
Yeah, that's more or less correct.
More or less? I thought that was okay.
Well, I would emphasize that the vagrant decides to really take our hero into his sights and make his life a living hell. Or does he? Or is it all in his head? We'll find out.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? Yeah.
But our hero is Graham Krakowski. I hope you like that last name because we're going to say it like 500 times in this movie.
Yeah, but I like how, what's her name, who played Yvette?
Colleen Camp?
Yeah, how she
realtor?
pronounced the name because she pronounced it more like something else. Like it was more like
Mr. Krakowski? Mr. Krakowski? Mr. Krakowski?
It almost sounded like a curse word the way she said it. Like
She says it like a machine gun shoots out bullets in the first 5 minutes of this movie.
she says it so different that I'm like, when someone calls him it, like his boss calls his name, I'm like, wait a minute, what? That's his name? Okay, I was getting something different.
Yeah, like you said, he's a typical yuppie that has meticulously planned his upward trajectory and won't accept anything that disturbs those plans. Salary and savings will cover the monthly payments until his raise in January. Really hope this movie takes place in the fall. Because damn.
Yeah.
So the movie gets going with Graham going over this fixer-upper house. The real estate agent is really excited about calling him Mr. Krakowski, as I've said.
Yeah.
And the house is directly across from the street from a vacant lot, which I guess they were about to build condos, which never happened.
Yeah, I guess.
Because the land is for
the
sale.
The whole neighborhood looks not great, by the way.
But is also within walking distance of a grocery store, apparently, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, true.
But on the plus side, the master bedroom has its own closet. What? Wow. What a sell.
Yeah.
Graham isn't sold on the house, but basically decides to buy it to avoid having sex with the realtor.
That part was so insane. Like at first I thought it was like it was cutting away to him and imagining something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, this is real. And then it comes back later when she pops up later too. It's like, okay, this is just a really weird, horny real estate lady who keeps her license somehow.
It's like all of a sudden his life got like, I don't know, thrown into a porn movie. And he's like, she's like coming at him harder than any porn actress I've ever seen coming at. That's a realtor coming into them. Like, what the hell?
There's like, it's such an over the top like pickup line. Like basically just straight up says like, I want to have sex with you right now. Basically.
She pushes him down in the toilet and jumps on him.
Yeah. And this house looks kind of gross at this moment too.
It's not great.
Yeah. It looks. It definitely needs some work too. So it's like, and that's
it's a fixer upper.
Like, ugh, really? Okay, lady.
But yeah, he's like, screw it. Yeah, I'm gonna buy the house just to get this. He's like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
He doesn't find the book then, right? He finds it when.
Yeah, he does. He finds it in the toilet.
Well, I wasn't sure if he finds it then or when he moves in. He finds it then.
I think so.
Okay.
He finds this book there, The Animal Within.
Right.
And thankfully, the back cover is ripped off, which comes in handy later on for storytelling purposes.
I mean, I guess because like I never really considered that until, like, because I just think it's like a beat up book, the house, the state of the house. So like, when it does pop up, like oh okay, that's kind of clever.
But regardless, it's a funny scene.
Yeah,
and Paxton and Colleen Camp play it very amusing. It's good.
The best thing, hero wise, is Bill Paxton as the movie goes, and the facial expressions he puts on himself is like, it's really like plus Paxton coming out here where he can put these like facial expressions of really to get the insanity of things. And it's great. It's really great.
It's nothing. He doesn't have a line or anything that's as great as, Game Over Man or I Have a Little Dick. It's pathetic. But his facial acting is as good here as it's ever been in his career. His facial acting has always been A+ top notch. He's fantastic.
You get some really unhinged looking expressions on his face that just like you can't even describe it in words. You just have to see it. You're just like, I love this dude.
It's so pathetic and insane and hilarious to look at.
How much did you laugh, by the way? And I'm sorry to jump ahead a little bit. We can come back, but like when
the restaurant scene?
No, the time jumps when he's at the trailer park and now he has a mullet.
I laughed so hard. I was like, perfect. Yeah, it was so great. All of a sudden, I don't know. He's morphed into different Bill Paxton. He gets to play different Bill Paxtons in this movie.
He really does. It's like early multiverse almost. It's insane because he does play so many different versions. Like you have the straight-laced thing, and then as he gets more and more losing his mind, basically, you get these different versions.
Yeah. All of a sudden, when he's in the trailer park, it becomes Pina Colada Berg.
Right. Bill Paxton. / the Wolf Man. Because he's, he's got to be chained down or whatever.
Right. Anyway, on the first day of Graham moving in, this homeless dude, or a vagrant, is using his sink.
Yeah.
In his house. And freaks
it's like
Graham out.
Right when he moves in, wasn't it?
Yeah, literally the first day as he's moving in.
He walks in and there he is.
There he is, just at the sink, and he's spitting in the sink, which I guess created that awful stain that's there and he can't get rid of. Which, dude, just get a new sink. What are you doing?
Yeah.
That it's not a high-priced object. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he's freaked out, and he decides to change the locks.
Right.
And he brings his buddy Chuck over, and he tells him his dreams of putting in a lanai. I had no idea what a lanai or lanai.
A lanai. He says lanai, right?
It's a lanai. Sorry, I had no idea what a lanai was. I had to look it up. It's screened in area.
Right.
So that sounded cool.
He said a hot tub too. I think he said at one point too, right?
A hot tub or a lanai. I'm like, what is a lanai? Let's see. He has so many dream sequences about this Vagrant. He is so
Obsessed.
put out
He's
by
obsessed.
his existence.
Yeah.
And it starts early on. Like the first night he's in that house, he dreams about him coming into the house and stealing a light switch plate.
Yeah.
Which is just a weird thing to steal.
It really is. And then he like goes to like check, and make sure it's there. And
well, first he sleepwalks and he like tries to choke his friend
out.
His friend Chuck, who offered to sleep over to help, just to make him feel better.
Yeah, which he turns down, by the way. He's like, basically no, I don't want you to sleep here. And then it cuts to him sleeping there. And I was kind of like, wow, what a dick. He just like turned his friend down and let him sleep there.
Well, the friend was just offering to help him out. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, he's there anyway.
Yeah, but choking him out, man, that's like, it makes you think like.
Well, he's sleepwalking. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I know, but that's some pretty crazy sleepwalking.
This is like key one where they didn't emphasize this enough. So like, okay, they've laid the sleepwalking card here, and they barely pick it up throughout the movie, but he references it all the time.
Right.
Where he's worried that all of this is in his head. So like strike one against the movie, really, right here. So like I said, there's a grocery store in walking distance of the house. And one day, as he's walking home with this bag full of groceries, I think is there a bag of French bread in this? I forgot to check.
Oh, I don't remember.
I think there is. I think there is a big
baguette
comes up to this because there must be. It's a movie.
He's on the sidewalk and he comes up to this boarded kind of.
He's walking by the open lot.
Yeah.
And he sees the Vagrant eating some raw meat.
Yeah.
On a stick. He's so disgusted and freaked out. He drops
everything.
All of his groceries. And he's like, oh
yeah, and this is like total Paxton here too. It's like it's so like, oh my god,
And he picks up like whatever he can and runs away to go call the cops. Free tuna for the Vagrant.
Is that the first time that you hear the Vagrant laugh or whatever? Because he's got this like laugh cackle that you hear.
I don't know. I didn't write it down. I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember if that's the first time we hear it or not. Because you do hear it throughout. But anyway, yeah.
So this leads to Graham calling the cops on the Vagrant.
Oh, yeah.
And I am sorry to our entire audience. I'm basically going to explain this entire movie in the hero section. Because a lot of this is plot and character at the same time. Because of Paxton, the way it is.
It's
and
true.
I didn't know how else to do. Tim, you're gonna have to make sure I move along and tell me to move off.
I mean, you could kind of go. This is a funny part, but but it's not really action either. So I'll allow it. So
that's the thing. Like, there's very little action in this movie.
Very little action. Although it's like my longest category because I didn't know where else to put it a lot of times.
Same for me. It's like 2 pages long.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to tell because you're not gonna be able to help and tell me to move along.
I might have the same problem here, but this one I'll allow.
Okay, so he calls the cops, and on the Vagrant, and they seem untroubled and uninterested in helping until Graham points out that he's public urinating, which is great.
Also they're like, what now? Like that. Then they're into it. It's so
they're
funny.
Like, I'm sorry, sir. You want me to make him move because why? What is he doing wrong? And he brings up the possible paragraph. Urination! I'm like, okay, that's good. This does seem like the cops now. All right, I'm back in. They go talk to a neighbor to confirm Graham's story, who is like an old lady with a giant hearing aid, which will come back later.
Yeah.
And Graham spots the Vagrant going near the bushes, and he goes to the cops. I think he's getting ready to urinate. And one cop seriously asks the other, "Should we call backup?" And the cops arrest him.
They like speed off to get him. Yeah.
Yeah. No. We're like book him, Dano. We gotta get him.
Like immediate.
It's a good bit.
It is.
So this leads to Graham deciding to buy like an extreme alarm system with like a 10-foot privacy fence, motion lights and sensors, and a digital system that plays polka music when you're away to make people think someone is home to defend
the
him against the Vagrant.
And the perimeter thing. It almost reminds you of Mr. Miyagi's dojo. But
yeah, it does.
But it's the bright lights everywhere, and it's insane and over the top, which kind of goes with like, I guess they do make you raise an eyebrow to his character and how Sane or not sane he might be to start.
Right. His buddy Chuck tries to talk him out of it, especially after learning Graham has put up a second mortgage on his house to pay for it.
Second mortgage. And he seems very confident that he'll be just fine.
Yeah. So confident, he invites his girlfriend over. Graham's girlfriend from Buffalo flies in for a visit.
Is that where do they live? Is this like L.A. or something? Where are
No,
they?
Phoenix.
It's Phoenix.
They're in Phoenix.
Okay. I just like. So anyway, the girlfriend comes, and then the girlfriend
And she hates his interior decorating, like all women, for men.
And you just wanted me to help you buy furniture, and he's like, and then clearly gives signs that she's about to put out. He's like, yep, that's it.
Yeah. So I don't really have the money. I'll have sex with you. On second thought.
Yeah. But
so
I don't know how much more you want to go here, like, because when the girlfriend has issues with his sleepwalking stuff too, she has issues mostly with his feelings towards the Vagrant, and it kind of comes to a head when she invites him in to have a sandwich, and he really loses it there.
I'm going to get into a lot of this later. We're fast forwarding through stuff and passing stuff, which we'll get into more detail later. But Graham gets a promotion from work, and races home to tell his girlfriend the good news. He comes across a crime scene, and he sees the cops take a body out of a dumpster, and he sees them handling a hearing aid, and he recognizes his neighbor that he helped talk to the cops with earlier. He races home worried about Edie, his girlfriend, and when he gets there, he sees the Vagrant eating at his kitchen table. And Paxton does an incredible backward slide pratfall.
Oh, yeah.
Behind the kitchen counter.
Reaction.
It's really funny. Great fall. But it turns out, in a great betrayal, Edie actually invited the Vagrant into the house for a sandwich. Graham calls 911, who actually recognizes his number at this point. Like, what do you want now, Mr. Kurkowski? And he says he knows the Vagrant killed his neighbor, but he has zero proof, and now the cops are suspicious of him.
Rightfully so.
Which leads into another weird dream sequence where Graham looks like a zombie, and he imagines the Vagrant plowing his girlfriend from behind.
Yeah.
And when he wakes up from this nightmare, he sees someone has taken garden shears to his glasses. And Edie's decided to leave and break up with him after his histrionics with the cops and the Vagrant.
Yeah. Because clearly there's some weird stuff going on here. I think the sleepwalking and all that kind of stuff and his reaction to all this was like, all right, I'm going to go now.
Yeah, and it gets weirder from there. Graham has lunch with Chuck, and this might be my favorite scene in the movie. And he is convinced at this point that everything is happening is in his head.
Right.
Every morning he wakes up and he finds a pair of pants in the oven, books in the shower, food eaten, and urine in the blender. And the faces Paxton puts on in this scene are just other Hall of Fame worthy, hilarious. It's so pathetic and funny. It's so great. And then after like making this like, and he's like makes a big scene in the restaurant, and Chuck just like what's on the dessert, and we cut down to Graham coming down the stairs in the middle of the night, obsessively reading this book that he found on the toilet the day he decided to buy the house.
Right.
And
it's like the Animal Within kind of something type thing.
Yeah, the Animal Within is the book. And there's a fork in the cactus wall art coming down the stairs.
Oh, yeah. Which I think happens more than one time with the fork, by the way.
That's the Vagrant's calling card, a fork in the wall.
Yeah.
He does it a few times. And there's hanging from a pot and pan overhead storage is a fish, a chicken, a wine bottle, and a gallon of ice cream dripping into the blender, which may or may not have urine in it.
Perfect blend.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, hell.
Yeah.
He wakes up the next day.
Is this where he's in the basement?
No, not yet.
Okay.
He wakes up late for work. His alarm clock having been cut at 3:42 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
The cord. And he discovers he has wounds on his leg and a bad smell in the house. He at first thinks it's a dead rat he finds in the basement, but then discovers his dead neighbor's fingers in a chocolate candy box. And that's when he sees that the Vagrant has been sleeping in the basement the whole time. and sees he has like an easy entrance exit.
Oh yeah, because he
Just like
pops
flips
open.
up the bottom of the house.
Yeah, it's like a giant door, and he just kind of like ha ha, ha crazily laughs out, and again,
like a hatch on a sailboat. He's like pop it open, like ha,
and then
what the hell?
Again, great facial by Paxton, like unhinged, looking at him like, what is going on?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. At this point, Graham is like becoming a zombie person.
Well, he calls the cops first, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he calls the cops, and the cops are all like, "Why didn't you call us earlier? That smell. It's very obvious. That smell."
Yeah.
So I just thought it was a rat.
You didn't investigate the dead. How long were you going to leave the dead rat down there? And that's what my note was like. Good question.
Yeah, no, this is a fair point. You always investigate the strange smell in your house.
Yeah.
You got to take care of that immediately. My man wasn't even lighting candles. It's not a good look.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. You don't just let, even if you think it's a dead rat, like you don't just let a dead animal in your house for that long. Like,
right.
Disease. Like, come
on. And this leads to yet another dream sequence where Graham he's now decided to park like a love seat in the basement.
Yeah.
He's holding his shotgun watching.
This is where he truly starts to look really unhinged.
Yeah. And he dreams of the Vagrant sneaking in and sticking the shotgun
in his
under his chin.
Under his chin. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and pulling the trigger. That's when he wakes up. And it turns out he is down there with the shotgun, and he looks like a zombie mess that he was in that dream before.
Right.
And the realtor is here. And it turns out Graham...
Yeah, this time he has sex with her.
Graham has had enough, and he wants to sell the house. But the realtor sees how awful he looks, and he has a shotgun now. He's like, do you hunt?
Oh, yeah. She's like more turned on now.
Yeah, she's like, what? My man doesn't look like he's had a shower in like 2 weeks. And you want to jump on that?
This lady is equally unhinged.
Yeah. Real shame what happened to her.
Yeah. She's great, by the way. She's so much fun every time she pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I first saw her too, like I obviously I'm such a giant Clue fan. I did went Yvette, but the next thing after I thought of Yvette, I was just like, they don't allow dump trucks on the FDR, and I just
there you go. I like that you made her from Boston.
I don't know why I did that.
That's good.
Yeah, but anyway.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's not Long Island or Queens. Come on.
Sorry.
That's all right. He wakes up after having this, like, I don't know. I wouldn't call it violent, but raucous sex with her.
Yeah.
We only get bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, it's like
just mostly them rolling around and stuff.
Exactly. Everybody's in their underwear and clothes.
Yeah.
Very boring horror.
It's appropriate for this kind of movie.
That's true. Would have been out of place.
The realtor is gone. His room is destroyed, but he finds a note that says she left. Didn't want to wake him.
Yeah, but
the
that
bottom of the note
was weird. Yeah.
But at the bottom of the note, written in blood, is "I adore you, Graham." It's just like, yikes.
And for some odd reason, he doesn't really think much of that.
Well, he thinks enough that he's still walking around the house with the shotgun.
Yeah, I guess, but I think that's normal unhinged behavior. He's been walking around with the shotgun, but like immediately that's what I noticed in the note. Like that's blood, right? Like
he doesn't have a lot of time to investigate or anything in his defense afterwards.
You're being very kind, but okay.
Because immediately after the cops raid the house, and we'll go into more detail on how fun that is later.
Yeah.
And they find they say the realtor's body was found in the same dumpster as his neighbor. Graham swears it's the Vagrant, and that's when the cops discover the realtor's head and feet in the fridge.
Yeah.
Tough look.
That's not good. Yeah.
Graham goes to jail, and his boss comes in disguise to fire him.
Yeah, that was weird.
I love it.
Is that before or after the trial? Because the trial is hilarious.
I was about to say, this might be my second favorite part of the movie.
It's so funny.
The trial.
Yeah.
So Graham is on trial. He's really got some like public defender or something because he has no money left at this point.
Yeah.
And his mom is on the witness stand. And
they almost make it look like TV too, like you're watching on TV, like O.J. Simpson style.
His lawyer is very impressed with the line of question from the prosecution. He's like, he's good. Like, that's what you want to hear. And the mother is so like upset by the line of questioning from the prosecutor, she legit has a heart attack and dies right there in court. And he's like, "Mother, no!" And all the jurors are like, "That poor boy," and decide to say not guilty.
Oh my god!
And
Yes.
then here is the best part. As they take Graham's mom's body out of the courthouse, the goddamn body slides off the gurney and then slides down the court steps like a Simpsons episode. It's so beautiful.
I thought of Naked Gun
so hard.
is what I thought about.
That's good too. Yeah. It's beautiful.
But it's weird because they do treat it like seriously. Like it's like
the look on Paxton's face is tapping. He's like, sure. It's so great. He's like distraught and like nonplussed at the same time. Yeah, this is happening too. Great.
Why not?
So after he gets off the murders, Graham buys a cheap station wagon, packs up what he can, gets the hell out of town. He finds a trailer park that needs a manager and gets hired by this blind owner named X-Ray.
Yeah.
Graham gives him a fake name, calling himself Jerry Kramer.
Yeah.
Guess he was a big Seinfeld fan at the time. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like, but this is 92, right? What is this?
Yeah. We're in the 4th season of Seinfeld at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize it started earlier than that. Okay.
Yep. Man, this movie. Graham has a nightmare about the Vagrant finding him at the trailer park and is worried about his sleepwalking. So he gets his neighbor, Dodie, to come over to his trailer and tells her his plan to handcuff himself to the bed, and she can come over every morning to unlock him. Unfortunately, Graham doesn't realize that Dodie is drunk and horny.
Yeah.
And she decides to use this opportunity to molest Graham.
And then it turns into a regular habitual sexual thing between him and this Dodie, right? Dodie.
Yeah, he turns out Graham's into it.
Because you get the time jump, and he's like, "Yeah, that's all right." Like,
time passes, and Graham has grown a mullet to blend in, and he has taken to his joy his nightly sessions with Dodie.
Yeah,
his buddy X-Ray asked him that, and X-Ray's like, "Yeah, listen, everybody loves you. I think you're enjoying your nightly visits with Dodie." He's like, "I am."
But
okay.
Stop with the underwear, because there's a weird split in her underwear and she doesn't like it or something. I was like having a hard time. I was like, what's happening with her underwear?
So apparently spoiler alert, the Vagrant is coming into her trailer or his trailer and taking a knife and splitting her underwear up the middle every night. I don't get it.
I don't know.
But that's his, I don't know, maybe he's stifled at this moment.
I don't know. Yeah.
Artistic creativity is
she's
working.
having a hard time being creative with this.
And at the end, everyone is just confused. Like, what is this?
Yeah. It's a very weird moment with that one. It's like,
but we know the Vagrant is back, baby.
Right.
Graham wakes up and his handcuffs are broken. He's covered in blood with a comically large meat cleaver on his stomach. This thing is giant.
Yeah.
It looks like something Pyramid Head drags around in the Silent Hill games.
I love so much that you just referenced a game you don't like that I
don't
desperately love so
I did
much.
That for you.
I appreciate it. I know you're not a fan, so that you made that reference for me, I appreciate it. I love you
just
too, brother.
Yeah, I love you, buddy. He hears X-Ray screaming, who has just found his seeing eye dog hanging from a rotating clothesline.
It is the most horror thing probably of this whole movie.
Very upsetting.
Yeah, it is.
Very upsetting stuff. Luckily, we only see we don't actually see the dog. We just see like back of dog or something like that. You don't see like the full dog. I'm happy.
Or you're not but we don't need it
hanging.
He needs to run away, and then the whole ending sequence happens. I don't think you need to go further than that.
Well, I was just going to say that X-Ray dies of a heart attack in Graham's arms, and Graham waves the cleaver in the air like a maniac looking for the Vagrant, and the entire trailer park fairly assumes that he did it, and Graham gets in his car and goes away.
Right. Which is where the ending sequence happens. I don't think we need to because the ending sequence is basically the action of the movie. So I don't think you need to go more. I think that's it for here.
Okay, I had a couple more things, but we can get into it later.
Yeah, I just think so much of that is more in the other categories at this point.
So it so blends in. I don't.
You're right. You're right. But you told me you trusted me.
I am.
And I'm trying to get you to stop now.
I appreciate it. I got so close. So what do you give our hero Graham?
Okay. So by the way, I did this really late and basically like 2 minutes before you got on. So I didn't get to finish my homework. But I know I'm busy lately. But I went 2.5.
I gave him a 3.
I was close to giving a 3. I wasn't sure there was enough.
I scored a lot of this a lot lower, so but I wanted to reward Paxton because he was that good. I mean, literally,
awesome.
If there was someone lesser in this role, it wouldn't have worked.
Oh, for sure. With that,
he's so likable while being so pathetic and annoying. It's incredible.
The patheticness with the character is actually really important. And I don't know if many
but to make him still likable, that's a trick I think very few could pull off. That's why Paxton.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there could
be
even other actors that you would say are great actors that probably couldn't pull this role off because they couldn't do some of this. And because it's this kind of a zany-ish comedic thing too, like no one else could probably put on some of these looks that Paxton.
The only person I think who could have pulled this off as well is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
That's about it that I can think off the top of my head.
Off top, that's pretty good for off the top of your head. No, yeah, I think that's pretty much sums it up. You need somebody who could kind of like
to be pathetic and annoying and likable is a really hard trick
and look
to pull.
Unhinged.
Yeah.
When you need to look unhinged,
and that's I thought Paxton earned his 3. There are lower scores for everyone else that brings this movie down quite considerably.
Depending on how the final score goes, I could be convinced to go up to a 3, but I'll keep it at 2.5
I'm sorry for even arguing it. You're right.
But yeah.
So, The Vagrant.
This is my shortest category.
It's also mine, yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot to say because so
I
much
think
of it's
Psychic is pretty short too. The rest of this is pretty short.
The most of you get of him is like it comes from the end when you got to hear more about his character. But otherwise, you just hear mostly maniacal laugh, and he's got a really gross hand
and face,
but you mostly see the hand. The hand is grossing me out more than anything else.
Yeah, it's kind of
it's swollen.
Yeah,
a big meat hook thing hand. It's gross looking. It's bandaged.
It's a bloated hand and feet, and truly gross to look at every time with this patchy hair, scarred face, big beard. He's just like, ugh. You can't even recognize the actor. It's an actor I've seen in a million things. It's like, oh wow, that was him.
Yeah.
I also like to point out, I think I really dug his suitcase song. So every time
it's like a music box thing.
Yeah, it sounds like an ice cream truck or something. Yeah. Like the Vagrant moving around with this thing. It's like, oh, this is a little creepy. It's good.
It is a little creepy.
But Marshall Bell plays the Vagrant. He was Gordy's dad in Stand By Me, the bad guy assassin Webster in Twins, George / Kuato in Total Recall, and most importantly to us in this podcast, Coach Schneider in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Tim liked that reference.
I really did. Yeah, sorry. This is forgetting this is an audio podcast and not a visual thing, but yes, I appreciate that reference. Actually, at first you had me at Guado, but then you went there and I was like, oh. But yeah. Yeah, you really do have a hard time recognizing him. I had to look it up IMDb as well.
I mean, I've seen this guy in a million movies, and he's a great character actor.
He really is. And it's a bummer because he really doesn't get to do much more than laugh. You get a little bit more at the end in some of the action sequences, but that's about it from what you get. Because it really is about the main character. Everything is really going through this main character, and you don't get a whole lot from the villain other than quick snippets. Like you see him, but then he's out of the scene really quickly.
Yeah. He's like, look what I've done for you, and runs away.
Basically, is it. And
so,
do you want to get? Do we get into what happens at the end? Oh, not like we don't have to say what happens at the end, but his.
Well, I was going to say, Graham fills up his car with gas and discovers the Vagrant's suitcase in the back of the station wagon. And he finds this book that gives the Vagrant's backstory. So it turns out the Vagrant, and it's really quick, and you have to pause to read it all.
Yeah, I didn't even get to read it all, but I think you get the gist. But yeah,
the Vagrant is really Dr. Stanley Melroy?
I didn't get the name.
Know.
He
no
was
one ever
a
says
doctor
the name outright.
that was doing research and whatever, and then he gets
He was
backballed.
fired years ago from the University of Virginia for controversial teachings.
Yeah.
He was also brought up on charges that he got away with, and you can see it in the there's a bunch of headlines in this book that he's pasted onto the pages, and he's written his little notes. It's like, haha, I knew they'd never stick with it, or whatever, never stick. And he decides for some reason that Graham is the perfect guinea pig for his research.
Do you know though? Were you able? What is it? What is his theory?
Yes.
Okay, because
I'm
at a complete loss, because you do get eventually
It's the
where
key-
he's like, you should be thankful. Like, you were boring, I made you interesting. And I was
I like that.
It's
bit.
great delivery, but it's just like, what was it?
So the key is that earlier in the movie, and we already referenced it, there's a scene where Graham is coming down the stairs reading Dr. Stanley's book.
Right.
And he reads it out loud. So it gives the Vagrant Dr. Stanley's theory. And this is what it is. From the animal within. In the darkness of every human spirit lies the beast, fully capable of uncontrolled action. Fear is the key that unlocks the gate and frees the beast. Paranoia, the nemesis of the healthy mind, the breeder of fear, the liberator of the beast.
So
He is trying to turn Graham into an animal. Into his true animal self.
trying to get them to their baser instincts, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
So we find out that Vagrant is doing this not out of revenge for Graham calling the cops on him, which would have been an interesting theory all by itself.
Oh, yeah, because he calls him the perfect test subject in his
Yeah,
notes.
but to run an experiment to see if he can turn the uptight yuppie into a rage monster.
Right. Which he does.
And like you said, like Vagrant, like in the confrontation, says he's done everything to make Graham a better and more interesting person.
Yeah. Yeah, he calls
It's
him boring. Like, you were boring. Like, I did this. You should be thankful. Like, I did this for you.
It's like both ways that could have gone were actually really interesting. So I'm like, yeah, that works. That works too. That's fascinating.
Again, and I think
didn't
this
expect
is
that.
actually Paxton's best moment. Because he actually puts this even greater deranged look of like, and then he says it. He's like, I guess thank you or something. He says something along those lines as he attacks back at the Vagrant. And it's like, oh, that was perfect. Because no one, you're right. I mean, who else but maybe Nick Cage could have pulled off this like horrified, disgusted, pathetic look. And he says thank you as he attacks. It was great. But anyway.
Nick Cage could have played the Vagrant too.
Well, that's the beauty of Nick Cage, right? He really could do everything.
Can do it all.
Do it all.
So I got nothing else to say with the Vagrant because the rest of it's in action.
Yeah, I don't either. Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot here.
I gave him a 2.
Yeah, I also gave him a 2.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I created you. He says to him, I created you. You should be grateful. You were boring. I made you interesting. And he was also wanted in 8 states, and there was a reward out for him. You find out too.
In 5 of them.
Yeah.
In 5 of the states.
5 of the 8. Yeah.
So action stunts. This is also a very short category.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Nope, not a lot here.
Although oddly my longest category, because again, like I didn't know where to put stuff.
Really?
I didn't know where to put stuff sometimes.
I put it all in here. I understand.
Yeah.
So after getting the Vagrant arrested for public urination, Graham is enjoying making dinner at home. And that's when he discovers the Vagrant has been let out. And Graham tries to get a closer look through the window when the Vagrant suddenly appears, his face against the window, and he goes, ah!
Yeah.
And it causes Graham to fall back over his kitchen table and spilling spaghetti and marinara all over him. Just like really great fall for Paxton.
He really
here.
shoots backwards.
It
is quite a back.
And it's him, and man, he sacrificed his body on that one. It's good.
Yeah.
God bless him. Let's see. I have paralysis.
That was the most jumpish type scare thing you're gonna get in this movie.
Pretty much. There's that and like what happens to Michael Ironside's characters, but the really only horror in the movie.
Oh, I forgot about that one. That is great. I mean, seeing like
although
the
I gotta say
decapitated
this,
bodies, or dismembered bodies is like a little bit extra, I guess. But
yeah, I suppose you're right. But Paralysis Demon Vagrant molesting Graham, is pretty horrifying. Like, ew.
Yeah,
I did not want those hands to touch me.
No, they're gross. They're so gross.
Yeah,
the hands are the most disgusting thing.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, the cops are about to raid Graham's house. And Tim, do you have anything before this? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure.
No.
Okay.
No.
So as the cops are about to raid Graham's house, he sees a Band-Aid on the wall, and Graham, being the fastidious fellow that he is, decides to pull at it, which causes an alarm to go off. This surprises Graham so much that he accidentally shoots his shotgun in the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
And the cops immediately unload and shoot thousands of rounds in the house.
Yes.
It is literally 1,500 bullets.
It was such a weird moment because it's like, again, almost, it kind of almost reminded me of Canadian Bacon and the SWAT team. It's like, hoop, 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 the one gets injured and they shoot him, you know what I mean? Like, how they're all filing out of the vans and then they come to the fence and they all like, screw out holes into his fence, his perimeter
they
fence.
drill these holes through the fence, and they're all in a perfect symmetrical line. It's like, wow, it's impressive that they all got it on the same line.
I've never seen any SWAT like this ever. It's amazing.
Yeah, but the SWAT raid took 3 days, 1,500 bullet hits to set up, all fired in less than a minute, resulting in 10 seconds of screen time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That almost kind of reminds me of I, the Jury from season 1.
I was thinking the same thing when I was watching it. Let's see. So after Graham leaves the trailer park, the Vagrant pops up from the back seat and takes control of the car and forces it to go over a cliff.
Yeah.
The car impressively does not explode.
No, it doesn't.
Sorry, Tim.
And surprisingly, too, like, our hero seems to be surviving from that just fine.
Well, it turns out it's just a dream.
Yeah.
And he wakes up in a parking lot of a diner/Old West theme park.
I don't know. Yeah, it was weird.
It is weird.
Like a gem mining place, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, so while Graham is filling her up, all of a sudden he notices that there's that suitcase in the back. He's like, what the hell? And he's looking through it, and son of a bitch, he doesn't realize that the Vagrant is also lying in the trunk right next to him. It's a station wagon.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of space. It's still a little weird that he couldn't tell there was a human being back there.
There's a lot of stuff in there. I don't know. He is wearing chubby, like it's... He's very baggy clothing, like deteriorating clothing. I don't know.
All right. Don't defend Graham on this. He should have noticed there was a body back there.
No, it's weird. You defended him weirdly earlier, and now I'm defending him weirdly now. So anyway.
So the Vagrant pops up, and he says, fun's over, time to die. Yeah. And he lights Graham's car on fire, grabs his suitcase, and runs away to the ye old mine.
Yeah.
Graham swears and yells, he's not afraid anymore, and gives chase. And this time the station wagon does
everything from him at this point. So
yeah, he really did twice.
Yeah,
and the station wagon does explode this time. Thank you, Tim.
Yep,
there you go. And in spectacular fashion, which alerts the cops who happen to be in the diner.
Yeah, looking for him. They're like insanely out of their jurisdiction, but we'll get to that later.
You sure will. So Barfus, Lieutenant Barfus, and Detective Laxon split up chasing Graham in the caves. Great plan, guys.
Yep.
And Barfus finds Graham choking the Vagrant to death. He breaks them up and then tells Graham that he's going to enjoy killing him. But when the Vagrant shoves like dull chair legs through Barfus's torso.
It's great.
And Graham takes the Vagrant's Polaroid and snaps a picture to prove he's not crazy. How strong does a human being have to be to shove dull chair legs through a human torso?
Right through it. I don't care.
I'm now I know it's great.
It's great.
It's a great
and
bit.
it's like the only real horror you have besides him being scared to jump backwards. This is the other moment.
The Vagrant would have to be superhumanly strong, and Graham would also have to be superhuman strong to fight.
That hand is swollen and freakish. Maybe it's got powers. I don't know. I'm gonna allow it. I like it. I'm not gonna poke holes in it.
Well, it's a great bit of gore.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's nice.
Yeah,
it's fun.
no doubt.
And this is where
it's certainly surprising
where the Vagrant really goes, and this is what I wish I saw more of in the movie, because he just got to be fun at this point. You know that this is where a lot of like you were boring. I made you like a lot of that stuff comes right after that.
Yeah.
So that's where the Vagrant, the villain here, is the most fun in this moment. So.
Yeah, and then Laxton shows up, and I had to look up this guy's name. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
I never caught that I ever said his name in the movie. I'm sure it happened. And wants to know which one of them killed Barfus. They both accuse each other, but Graham hands him the Polaroid picture. So Laxton shoots the Vagrant multiple times, so many times, in fact, to the point where he flies out of the room, and he shoots him again off a balcony, and he ends up falling into a dumpster full of cacti, and one of the needles goes straight into his gross, milky, dead eye.
Yeah, they show it. They show him being face into the cactus, which is like a...
And that is all the action I have written down. Tim, what do you got that I missed?
No, that's about it. Like the stuff you were going through with Hero, like I was like putting in action.
In action? Okay, yeah, I didn't know which way to do either. Like I'm putting too much in there.
But what we did literally was the action. Yeah. I went 1.5.
So did I.
Yeah, the half was there was a couple moments that I appreciated, which we went over those couple moments. That was bad. It would probably be too generous, to be honest, with the half.
Yeah, listen, I have never seen a dull chair go through someone's torso before, so points for originality.
True. I mean, I thought the villain, again, has some nice moments. I wish it was there all the way through. The hand was gross. Like, the ending part was fun. I really liked the psychological stuff. There just wasn't enough of a payoff with it.
It's so hilarious. Anytime someone goes into a fun house or something like that with like a mining cart, at some point the villain will have to get in that mining cart and come at you. And I gotta ask another question.
Okay.
In that scene where they're in the mine and Paxton is looking around for him, an iguana randomly falls on him.
Yep.
Did somehow the Vagrant make that iguana fall on him?
Oh, I didn't think about that. I don't think so.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Why is an iguana here?
I have no idea. I have that note, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say? Or in Hero or anything that I missed before we get into the sidekicks?
No.
Okay. So, Mark McClure, Jimmy Olsen is Chuck.
Is that who that was? Okay.
From Superman 78. Yeah.
I didn't look it up on the IMDb. So I was like, man, he kind of almost looks like a taller version of the dude from Basketball. And I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. He's got the same hair.
I see
what you're saying.
Similar in the face and everything. And now that you say that, I'm like, oh, yep, that makes sense. There it is.
Yeah. I'm guessing he's just Graham's friend. No idea how they met. There's no backstory given.
None.
But he seems to be doing slightly better than Graham financially. He seems like a good guy.
He seems to be trying to warn him from doing stupid things. But then
he installs the new lock in his house.
Towards the end, though, or the latter half, when they're doing, when he's going to trial and all that, and being brought in with the police, he's like weirdly eating it up and he takes a picture of his friend as he's being brought in at one point.
Did he? I missed that.
Yeah, I was like, this is kind of weird. Now his friend is just taking this as like, this is gonna get me laid. Look at this. I know this guy. Kind of like that's kind of what I interpreted it as. So it was kind of a weird moment, but yeah, he kind of disappears after that.
Yeah, well, he ditches everything.
Yeah,
he wouldn't leave his Phoenix with Graham there. My favorite bit with him, though, is the alarm guy goes to Chuck after complaining, like, you're spending too much money on this alarm system. And the alarm guy goes to Chuck. He's like, chill out, man. He ordered the deluxe system. This is great for me.
Yeah.
And then, like, Chuck looks at him and is like, didn't you sell me a leaky roof like 5 years ago? And the alarm guy, like, runs away.
Yeah, he does. It's great. And
it was a nice bit.
By the way, he pulled that scene off. Like, I thought the friend did a good job. Like, I thought,
Mark McClure?
Yeah.
Mark McClure is very good in this movie, and I could have used even more of him. He was excellent.
I agree.
Do you have anything else to say about Chuck?
No.
Okay. So Graham's boss is played by another great character actor, Stuart Pankin.
Okay, please tell me where I know him from.
Happy to do that. He was Michael Douglas's friend in Fatal Attraction and the sheriff in Arachnophobia. But Tim knows him best as the voice of Condiment King in Batman the Animated Series. But my guy has been in a million movies and TV shows. A million.
No, I mean, as soon as I saw him, I was like, I know I've seen this guy in so many
movies. He's a great that guy character actor. Yeah. He's really good. Always enjoyable when you see him. He's never bad.
It made me laugh even more when he is in disguise to fire him, which is like, this is great.
He has maybe the loudest laugh in the movie for me.
Yeah.
So
is this when he brings like the foreign guy in?
Yeah, he brings a Czech businessman, comes into the office, and the boss, what's he called again? Mr. That doesn't matter. He brings this Czech businessman into the office, and he's trying to land this client, him as a client, and he shows off his Czech employee, Mr. Krakowski, and he tells the businessman right in front of him, Krakowski's like, I'm going to give this man a raise, a promotion. And so he's like a big friend of Czechs. And he goes over and whispers into Graham's ear. He's like, come on, talk some of that Czech shit. Talk the Czech shit. It's so aggressive and almost sexual. And Graham is just like so in shock and scared of what to do. All he can come up with is say I think the only thing he knows in Czech, because he's only like a quarter Czech.
Yeah.
And when the boss gets in the elevator with the Czech businessman, he asks, "Hey, what did he say?" And he's like, "I told me to wash your hands after you go to the bathroom."
Because I think, didn't he say like only his like grandmother was Czech or something?
Yeah, only his grandmother on his mother's side or something like that. Yeah.
So it's probably the only thing his grandmother's ever said to him or something.
Yeah, it's just wash your hands after you use the bathroom. Yeah, it's a really good bit.
It is a funny bit.
The way he delivers, like, come on, talk that Czech shit. Talk the Czech shit. It's the same intonation of like, call me dad. Who's your daddy? That kind of thing. That's what it sounds like when he's saying it. It's really funny.
No, it is.
And later on, when he's in jail, Graham, the boss shows up again in disguise like a fake mustache and a hat. And he tells him like, the firm can't help you at all, and we're done. Yeah. That's the last we see of him, unfortunately.
But fortunately, there's other people who deliver.
Then we got a Hall of Fame character actor. This movie is filled with great character actors.
They are.
We've already mentioned Colleen Camp.
Yeah.
But we've already talked about everything that she's in.
Yep.
But Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside.
The GOAT, the legend.
Oh, he is amazing. It's because he really, really does not have a whole lot to do here either. Like, all these character actors have very limited time. And they all nail what they're doing. But it's just, the problem is all of them have such a limited time, and they should have focused on any one of them more. But yeah, Ironside is. I love to see this side of him. You don't see it often.
It's weird. Yeah, no, it's a completely different character for him.
Yeah,
that I've seen him in anything. He's playing this character like a supremely confident moron.
Right. You very rarely see him in a humorous setting.
Yeah.
And he's pulling it off.
Oh, he's very funny.
Yeah. He's very over the top on purpose, and very like yeah, I'm an idiot basically, but it's really funny.
You get the impression that he solves any case within a minute and sizes up people in seconds,
Yeah.
whether he's right or wrong.
Yeah.
And he's got this running joke of not remembering Graham's last name.
Yeah.
He will call him anything like Kowalski, Krowski, whatever, but never Krakowski. He's the only person in this movie he doesn't like to shout Krakowski.
He's suspicious of him in like 2 seconds of meeting him, basically.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's a dick. I'm like, well, that's fair. It's got a good point. Anyway,
he's almost Abab. I can't. Yeah. Why can't I say it?
Trying to say Ahab?
Oh, thank you.
Ahab. Okay.
Ahab.
Okay.
He's almost Ahab, like in towards the end, where he's in the diner and stuff, where he's like, "I'm gonna get him." Basically, he's the guy who got away, type of deal towards the end.
So when he doesn't get him, Graham is Barfus is upset that Graham is found not guilty, and he's worried all the blame will fall on him. So he and his partner decide to go 500 miles out of their jurisdiction and follow Graham for reasons unknown.
Yeah, and
I guess catch him doing something else.
His partner's like, none of this is legal. Like, we're so far, like, at least they reference it, like.
Yeah, somehow they end up at the same diner as Graham.
Yeah, nice coincidence. It must be like nothing around for miles, so it just happens to be the only thing they're at. I don't know.
Right, and they just, they happen to see the explosion. That's how they get in the mine. And that's all I got to say for sidekicks. You got anything else?
Nope. Almost my last note here is Ironside is back. 500 miles outside jurisdiction, and then his death. That's about it.
What do you think is like the definitive Michael Ironside? Like that's the first thing you think of when you think of Michael Ironside.
Scanners?
You think of Scanners? I didn't think you've ever even seen Scanners.
You're talking about me or people in general?
You.
Me personally. Oh, see, I'm such a nerd. I actually think of Darkseid first. And then after that, oddly enough, is Sequest, even though that's kind of when Sequest kind of went downhill for me.
Yeah. Wow.
I know, it's weird, but I remember him being the hard-ass captain, and that came in later in Sequest and made that show he didn't make the show not as good, but it's just like everybody I loved left. But
yeah.
But I'm trying to think, and then probably Highlander 2.
Wow. Total Recall has gone down that far on you.
Oh no, Total Recall might be tied with Highlander 2. To be honest, I can't tell you how many times as a kid, which I might have been a really weird kid, that I was watching Highlander 2 and Total Recall a lot. And that's weird because Highlander 2 is real bad.
After watching this, I've had the urge, I've had the urge to really watch Starship Troopers again.
Oh, yes.
Which not only has Michael Ironside in this movie, but Marshall Bell as well has a small part in it.
Good point. It's his Roughnecks, like Patrick. It's his Roughnecks.
That's right.
That's another good one. I mean, that came a bit later after, I was older when that one came out, I guess. Not too much older, but I wasn't a kid anymore. But yeah.
Bad guy in Next Karate Kid.
He was he was the like militant
Michael
whatever guy or whatever, right? Yeah. That was teaching bad karate. You can't go wrong because he's, again, his voice and his menacing delivery is amazing. That's why, again, like there's certain people that have done such a good job with voice work. And I say again, I've said this to you plenty of times. People don't know this, but there's certain things when I see something or read something, I will always think of this person voicing the character. So like I like my students just asked me recently because I was going after Jared Leto because I hate Jared Leto with a fiery passion.
Whoop, whoop.
And they were like, "Oh, well, who's your Joker?" And they're all expecting me to say certain things. I was like, "Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's Joker. Sorry." Like I do love and appreciate other Jokers, but to me, Mark Hamill is Joker. And it's kind of interesting because now I'm thinking like, yeah, when I read anything with Darkseid, I think of Michael Ironside. Like that his voice is coming through when I read Michael Ironside or when I read Darkseid. So anyway.
Okay, so what'd you give?
I went 2.
I gave it a 1.5.
I went 2 only because there's just so many good. Like, even though they all had such short roles, there were so many. Like, and no one was doing a bad job. So that's why I went 2.
Okay.
So what is your final score?
I gave the movie an 8.
That's what I have it as.
Okay, cool.
So it kind of makes sense. So you went a half point lower and one, and I went a half point higher.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah.
So there
okay,
you go.
so all good.
So 8. Yeah.
All right.
Boom. Look at that.
I like to also point out the Hitchcock music in the beginning and the score overall in this movie is
I also have a note of that.
fantastic.
I also have that note.
Outstanding score in this movie.
It is. And it
tremendous.
Is hardcore Hitchcock in the beginning too. In the beginning stuff.
I was smitten from the very beginning with it. Oh man, bad job by me. I should really call out who did it because wow, it was Christopher Young.
Okay, that sounds
did a phenomenal job. Nothing really. He did the composing for Sinister, Swordfish, Entrapment, The Grudge,
definitely
The New
Some
Pet
stuff,
Cemetery.
Yeah.
He's still working, but his job in The Vagrant was outstanding.
Yeah, no, it definitely gave. That is my note right away. Hitchcock, right there.
Oh, he did the third Spider-Man movie.
Oh, that's not good. That's not a good one.
Well, that's not on him.
That's very true. So, by the way, before you go with your spiel here,
yeah.
it is now rated the same as Pet Sematary 2, so we need to make a decision on is it above or below Pet Sematary 2. This is a hard one for me because it really is. Is there enough performances, I think, in this one that puts it over, or is the performance in Pet Sematary 2 that we love so much?
All right, enough? I gotta give. I think Clancy Brown puts us over the top. I'm sorry to Bill Paxton. You were tremendous.
You might be right, and it's weird because I think I honestly
it's
don't
just
know.
More memorable.
It is. It is such a good performance, but this is a really tough call. I can see there being more aspects to this movie to make it better overall.
Christopher Young was the Hellraiser composer. There you go.
Oh, the original Hellraiser?
First and the second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That's legit.
I'm sorry. I broke into you.
No, you're fine. So I feel I can understand. I feel like I agree with you, and I'd put it over it.
Yeah.
But I can understand someone's argument to flop it.
Yeah, sure.
There's enough here.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah. There is so much. I guess because again, there's so much.
They're both so close to being so much better.
Yes, exactly. And I can see this one to some people having more of the pieces than maybe Pet Sematary 2 does. But I don't think anything, as much as Paxton's phenomenal, he really is good. But I don't think anybody's throwing the heat as much as Clancy Brown.
Yeah. This movie was executive produced by Mel Brooks. Brooks Film.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What a friend of horror Mel Brooks is. Everyone who worked with Bill Paxton in this movie considered him a close personal friend. Like Colleen Camp, Michael Ironside, Marshall, all of them were all like, and the director were like, amazing guy. Love him to death.
That's kind of the vibe I get from everything.
Everyone loved Bill Paxton, just like beloved dude.
It was kind of heartbreaking when he died.
Yeah, tragic.
Because like the amount of people that came out on that one that were like crushed by it was pretty insane.
Yeah,
and I mean that's again like it's like the range that he had was pretty insane. That he could do a bit part and be like he was such a small part in Aliens, yet somehow one of the most memorable parts of the movie was so little.
Game over, man.
Yeah,
game over.
It's kind of insane, right? And then he could be in this Vagrant and Geez, so many other movies.
The Little Bit in True Lies, the star of Twister.
The star, yeah, he's a co-star in Twister, right? And then
directed Frailty, which is an amazing movie.
What a good movie is Frailty, where all of a sudden he becomes scary.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God. And then, of course, Big Love. That show was fantastic.
Love
he was
Big Love.
amazing in Big Love.
Yeah, true, like scum-sucking son of a bitch in that, but you also liked him.
Yes.
What an incredible performance that is to pull that off.
I know. He was great. He was really great. And probably underappreciated for way too long.
For sure.
Yeah.
So the director, Chris Wallace.
Yeah.
It was originally a special effects guy.
Okay.
And he did stuff for Return of the Jedi. Raiders of the Lost Ark. He did the face melting scene.
Oh, shit.
He created the Gremlins.
Wow.
And he did the special effects for The Fly.
like remake Fly? Like Cronenberg Fly?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, dang.
And then he did so good, Brooks Film hired him to direct The Fly 2, which is a better movie than you'd think. It's pretty good.
I haven't seen it. Okay,
it's not bad. It's gnarlier. Yeah. But the Vagrant was the last movie he ever directed. He considered it cursed, and it was a terrible experience for him.
Oh, wow.
I think he hurt his back during production too, and he just, despite his love of Bill Paxton, everything worked out wrong, and just went back to just doing special effects.
Oh.
Might not have been entirely his decision, because this movie had a budget of $9.5 million supposedly.
Yeah.
Which is a little over $20 million today, almost 21. And the theatrical gross of this movie was $5,900.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, I never heard of this movie till we did this.
Which
podcast.
is a little under $13,000 today. It only played in 8 theaters for 1 week.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure what actually happened there. I couldn't find anything.
I mean, to be fair, this would be a hard movie to sell.
Yeah.
Like, how do you find the people for this movie? You know what I mean? This movie, like, almost needs to be remade by, like, Simon Pegg and you know what I mean, and that kind of
gone more into the comedy, you think?
Yeah, gone more into it or something.
Well, they realized while they were making it, I guess, or somewhere maybe in post production, I'm not sure. The note was very odd, that they needed to add more comedy into this because the vibe was just off. And so, like, that confrontation that you enjoyed so much at the end of the movie between him and the Vagrant, where they're like yelling at each other, that was all improvised by the two actors.
Oh, wow.
Supposedly.
And it's some of the best stuff. And I think that is when the movie it felt more right. So I kind of get it. Like, because I guess you're right. Because I think it could be easily, it couldn't figure out its mind about where it wanted to be tonally.
Yeah. So it came in 14th place in its opening weekend. Premiered the same weekend as Lethal Weapon 3. Which was definitive number 1.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah. And that's it for The Vagrant. That's all I got.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad I watched it. I think it was a really interesting experience.
It was fun. It was weird, but fun.
Yeah, definitely weird. For sure weird. But I was not bored. I was actually, have to say, I can't imagine this finishing very high at the end of the season, but, like, I was interested. Like, it was not a snore. Like, it was not a slog to get through.
No. So,
yeah, it's your pick.
Next week, we're going south.
Going south
to old Mexico. And we're gonna do Kronos. Guillermo del Toro's Kronos.
Okay. I almost went with that a week or so ago. So
I need something a little more serious now.
I agree.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm down, man. I've never seen this movie. I've been wanting to see this movie. I'm excited.
I have seen it. It's good. Deals with the horror of aging and vampirism.
Okay.
But in a way that you've never seen before. I promise you this.
Well, you know what? With Guillermo del Toro, I'm really not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude will show you some interesting stuff.
Streaming on Max as of this recording.
Yeah, I imagine it's been on Max for a while. I've been looking at it, so I feel like it kind of released it.
All right.
So I'm excited. All right,
There you go.
all right, that is it for us. Please show your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, where you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the show updates. You can contact us by emailing at filmbrochamp@gmail.com or find us by searching for the hashtag FilmBroChamp. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Bro Championship Podcast. Peace out, everyone.
Fun's over. Time to die.